My mom declared, "We diverted 99% of your funds to purchase your brother a home." My brother sneered, "You're penniless now." Yet I laughed aloud, for they had no idea those savings were. What happens when the people you trust most, your own family, not only steal your life savings, but then gloat about it, right to your face? Well, last Sunday I found out. And let me tell you, that smirk on my brother's face? It was the spark that ignited a fire they never saw coming. I'm 34, a family doctor in a busy clinic. I'm the guy who remembers everyone's birthday, keeps the medicine cabinet stocked, the one who fixes the wonky smoke alarm before my mom even notices. My coffee? Black. My runs. Before the sun comes up. I can tell you the difference between a panic attack and an asthma flare in the blink of an eye. My job is calm in chaos. Fix things. Keep people breathing. But in my family, I was always the background guy. Never the golden child, never the disaster. Just the wallpaper. Useful. Quiet. Always there to lean on. My younger brother, Mason, he always had the spotlight. He's that charming guy who can borrow your car, return it on empty, and somehow make you thank him for the privilege. If there was a curve in life, it bent around Mason. If there was a bill, it bent right toward me. At first, I didn't even notice. When we were kids, he got the brand new bike. My prize. You can use his when he's not home. High school, he threw a party for passing algebra. I got a quiet nod for getting into a good college. In med school, I was calculating how many protein bars I could survive on, while Mason was racking up fancy job titles and unpaid training. Somehow, he always had gas money, and I always got the lecture. That was our rhythm. I just handled my own business. And then quietly, I started handling his, too. Last Sunday, I drove straight from my clinic shift. Mom had texted about family dinner 3 times, then called while I was literally stitching a kid's eyebrow. Her voicemail was the usual symphony of guilt and weather report. "It's been forever, honey. Drive safe. Cloudy later." The house smelled like lemon cleaner and roast chicken. Dad had the game on mute. Mason was already there, in one of those flimsy hoodies that cost a fortune and sag after 2 washes. He gave me that half hug, tap on the back thing, like we were teammates. Mom fussed with napkins as if they needed surgery. We ate. Small talk. My schedule. His projects. Then Mom asked, "Are you still doing that little clinic thing?" Like my career was some temporary hobby. I just swallowed it. You don't go to war over a tone of voice. You just pick up your plate. And you keep moving. After dessert, Mom cleared her throat. She glanced at Dad, then at Mason, then finally at me. That look. The one where she's trying to be brave for everyone. "Caleb," she said, her voice a little too sweet. "We need to talk about your savings." I slowly put my fork down. My what? She folded a dish towel with meticulous precision. "We spent 99% of your savings," she continued, "to buy your brother a house." It landed softly, like she'd practiced making it sound perfectly reasonable. Mason leaned back, let out a low whistle, like some smug sitcom guest star. He smirked. "You don't have a dime left, man." The room tilted, just a few degrees. In the clinic, my hands never shake. At home, they trembled, almost imperceptibly. I looked at him, and then I laughed. Not a big laugh. Just one quick breath, a sound of disbelief, but also a strange, quiet relief. Because they had no idea. No idea at all. I let the silence hang, heavy, like a loaded tray. Mom blinked. Mason tilted his head, like a dog hearing a word it liked. I started gathering plates. Rinse them in the sink. "We'll talk," I said, my voice eerily calm, "after I take the trash out." And I took the trash out. Because you don't sprint into a burning room. You check the exits. You count to 10. And you decide what you're truly willing to lose. Now, before we get to the part where I really said no, you need to understand something. I didn't become a doctor to be a hero. I became a doctor because my pediatrician was the first adult who ever talked to me like I had a brain, like I had a future. In college, I spent nights at the campus clinic, learning to truly listen. Med school? I moonlighted at a call center, scribbling notes on anatomy flashcards, learning what debt feels like when it literally sits on your chest. Residency ate 3 years of my life, leaving me with a coffee addiction and 2 vertebrae that click every winter. I emerged with a job, a modest apartment, and a budget spreadsheet that would make a banker blush. My parents? They were proud of me the way people are proud of a protected by alarm company sign in their yard. They'd show me off, but they never, ever listened to the alarm. They loved the idea of me. The actual me. The late nights, the on-call shifts, the exhaustion, the meticulous care with money. That was just Caleb's thing. Not something to respect. Certainly not something to protect. Mason, he's 2 years younger. If he were my patient, my notes would read. Pleasant, highly social, limited follow-through. He could sell snow to an Eskimo, including the idea that you absolutely need to rescue him. He'd start businesses faster than I open patient charts. Got a line on a thing. In talks with a partner. He could talk circles around a due date. But when a bill actually came due, that's when the family group text would light up, and I'd get a call from Mom, her tone implying I'd personally disappointed her by not already handing over my wallet. She kept score. Remember when we helped you with your textbooks, Caleb? She meant the single, used book I bought with a gift card from an aunt. Remember when we put gas in your car? She meant that one time they borrowed my car, returned it bone dry, and I had to fill it the next day. Favorite math, that was. Their contributions? Multiplied. Mine? Invisible. It wasn't one big, dramatic theft, you see. It was 100 tiny withdrawals, all with cute little names. Floating you till payday. Can you spot me for this fee? It's just this once. Mason overdrew? $300 from me. Ticket? $212. Moved apartments? $600 for deposits. And every single time, there was a family story attached. He's trying. You know how hard it is out there. Your father and I always help our kids. Your father and I met me. The ATM with a stethoscope. I kept telling myself, boundaries. Later. After residency. After I paid down that soul-crushing loan. After the clinic stabilized. But later, when it comes to people like that, is just code for never. They'd learn my no was made of rubber. So, 2 years ago, I did something. I opened 2 savings accounts. One was obvious, linked to my checking. The other? A completely separate credit union account. Boring name, no card attached. That second account held my real future. My down payment fund. My emergency cushion. The taxes I assumed would come because, well, I hate surprises. The linked savings, the one they could see when they helped me set up the family budgeting app, that was the decoy. It had rules. Keep a small cushion, auto-transfer $150 a month. Nothing to make them sniff out the real number. Paranoid, my friend Nor from the clinic asked when I explained it to her. I just shrugged. Just tired. She shook her head. You need to stop parenting your parents, Caleb. I laughed. Then I stopped. All those little humiliations? They were stacking up. On my birthday, Mom handed Mason the bigger gift bag. He needs a pick-me-up, she cooed, as if I was some self-sustaining pilot light that never dimmed. When I brought up upgrading the smoke detectors, Dad joked, look at Dr. Moneybags. And when I mentioned contributing to my 401k, Mason just drawled, must be nice, as if I were bragging about a yacht. That's when the asks started getting louder. 12 months ago, Mom called while I was dictating. I let it go to voicemail. She left a long one. Honey, it's an opportunity. Mason found a house. It's perfect. He just needs help with the down payment. We thought, well, your savings are just sitting there. I didn't call back that night. Instead, I ran, counted my steps, let the brutal winter air bite my lungs until I could breathe again without clenching my jaw. A week later, I walked into Sunday dinner. Mason was there with printouts, Zillow links, interest rates. He said escrow, like it was a brand new word he'd just discovered. Mom had that soft, proud look. Your brother finally found a place to put down roots. Dad asked if I'd do the right thing. I just asked, what's the number? Mason tapped his sheet. Down is $38,000. Closing, maybe $7,500. We can Venmo you back after my bonus. He said it like a waiter listing specials. I looked him dead in the eye. No, they froze. Like someone had cut the power. Mom recovered first. Don't say things you'll regret, Caleb. I shot back. I'm not regretting a budget. They tried every lever. Guilt. Family helps family. Flattery. You're the only one we can trust. Threat. You'll be sorry when you need us. I left with a to-go container. And a splitting headache. After that confrontation, I tightened my accounts. Changed every app password. Added 2-factor authentication to everything. I didn't think they'd actually, If you'd asked me then, I would have said, my family's entitled, sure, but not criminal. That was the story I told myself, just to keep coming back for dinner. Then, Last Sunday happened. We were past dessert when Mom announced the good news. The house had closed. Quickly. The agent was a friend of a friend. She beamed. It worked out perfectly, like the universe had approved a grant. Then she delivered the line about my savings. And Mason delivered the smirk. I started washing plates. Busy hands. You see, keep the screaming voice in your head at bay. I stared at the refrigerator magnets as the faucet ran. Dentist reminders, a pizza coupon, a photo of Mason holding a set of keys like it was some car commercial. My keys. Our history. Show me, I said finally. Mom blinked. What do you mean, honey? Show me how you did it. She pulled out her phone, then passed it to Dad. He squinted, his thumb fumbling with the banking app. I watched the path like a doctor watches a pulse. Linked account, transfer limits, the family view I'd forgotten I'd set up years ago, back when I bought them an iPad and made the mistake of trying to be helpful. There it was. A series of transfers from the linked savings, spread across 8 days. 9,000, 6,500, 7,000, 11,000, 8,000. One had a note. For Mason's house. You'll be proud. Another? A smiley face emoji. Why didn't you ask? I said, my voice barely a whisper. We did. Mom shot back, as if the word itself were an absolution. You said no, but we knew if you just understood the timing. Mason cut in, grinning. Don't be so dramatic. It's not like you were using it. And now you can be the cool uncle when I host football. I laughed again. A small, hollow sound. Because they didn't know those savings were a decoy. A fence. A test I hoped I'd never need. And in that moment, I decided we were done testing. I'm not staying for coffee, I said, my voice steady. My clinic voice. The one I used to tell people hard truths without lighting a fuse. We're going to undo every transfer you made. Dad crossed his arms, defiant. You can't undo a house. Then you can undo it with your money, I retorted. Not mine. Mom's eyes filled with wet, furious anger. How can you be so cold to your own brother? Mason snorted. It's not that deep, dude. You're making it deep. I pulled out my own phone, opened my credit union app, and slid it across the table. They needed to see the balance on my real savings account. That number didn't make me rich. It just made me safe. I keep my real savings, I stated, where you can't touch it. The account you siphoned? That was a small cushion. The rest is here, under my name alone. No family view. No helpful features. Mom went utterly pale. You hid money from us. I looked at her. From you? No. From this. I gestured at the phone still clutched in Dad's hand, at Mason's expensive, sagging hoodie, at the invisible scoreboard that had docked me points since I was 12. From the way you treat my work like an endless faucet, and my future like a bottomless pantry. Dad tried to swing it back. You think you're better than us because you're a doctor. I shook my head, a slow, deliberate movement. I think I'm better than this conversation. Mason stood up fast, his chair scraping loudly across the floor. You're overreacting. We'll pay you back, dude. Chill. No, I said. You won't. We will, he insisted. My bonus is coming in March. Your bonus, I replied, my voice flat, is not my retirement plan. And your house is not my responsibility. Mom whispered, what happened to family? Family. I said gently, almost too gently. Family asks before taking. Family replaces what it breaks. You took. You mocked. And now you want kindness without accountability. I picked up my keys. Here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow, I'll send you a detailed message with 3 options, a repayment plan, an immediate wire from your own accounts, or we involve the bank and the police. You have 72 hours to choose. After that, it leaves the family chat and goes into paperwork. Dad's face flushed a deep crimson. You wouldn't dare. This isn't about revenge, I said, watching Mom blink at the word like it physically burned her. This is about closure. I am closing the part of my life where you treat me like an open tab. Mason laughed again, smaller this time. Nervous. You're not serious. I pulled the front door open. The hallway smelled like bleach and roast. And the end of something. I'm serious, I said. And I'm done. Caleb. Mom called after me, her voice desperate. Don't do this to us. I paused on the porch, looking back. I'm not doing anything to you, I stated, my voice clear. I'm stopping you from doing things to me. I drove home in silence, the radio off. At a red light, my hands started shaking again. Then, just as quickly, they stopped. I thought about the patients I'd seen that day. The teenager who just needed an inhaler refill. The old man who missed his wife, coming in for a blood pressure check because it was easier than admitting he was lonely. People who asked. People who said please. I thought about how many times I'd said yes to my family because it was simply faster than enduring their dozen different manipulative languages of no. I parked, went upstairs, and I typed. I wrote it like a discharge summary, history, findings, plan. Every single transfer, with date and note. Everything the bank's fraud department had told me in a late-night call. Yes, family misuse counts. Yes, I could file a report. Yes, screenshots help. Then, I typed the 3 options. I ended it, just like I'd said. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. And boundaries. Choose how you want to proceed. Send. Monday. It was loud and quiet all at once. My phone lit up with 27 missed calls by 9 a.m., 51 by lunch, 74 by late afternoon. The family group chat had 15 new messages, all variations of "don't be rash." We're family, and one from Mason, just a crying laughing emoji and bro chill. I muted the thread. At the clinic, I did what I always do. I listened. I refilled. I explained. Told a new mom what cradle cap is and isn't. Talked an anxious man through why his chest pain was heartburn, not a heart attack, and how to tell the difference next time. The steady rhythm of other people's needs made mine feel less like an earthquake and more like a solid floor that would hold if I just didn't jump. At 6 p.m., I checked my email. Dad had replied. Option 4, blame. You forced our hand by refusing to help. We did what any loving parents would do. Mom sent a separate note. Half sermon, half manipulative song. We thought you'd be proud to see your brother stable. Isn't that what you wanted? A stable family. Mason finally texted me directly. Look, I'll send you $500 today to show good faith. That's fair. I typed. Deleted. Typed again. Option 1, the repayment plan, is attached. $500 isn't a plan. It's noise. He wrote back. Dude, you're a doctor. You're fine. I just stared at the screen. That sentence. It was the entire thesis of my family's approach to me. You're fine. You don't need. Your no doesn't count, because your yes comes with a salary attached. Tuesday, Mom tried a new tactic. She called the clinic, leaving a message with the front desk, as if I was some evasive celebrity avoiding her calls. Tell Dr. Caleb his mother called. It's urgent. I called her back on my break. Gave her the exact same 3 options. She cried. The silent cry. The kind where the air around her turned into a dramatic stage. We raised you, she whispered brokenly. You fed me and housed me. I said, my voice flat. And I'm grateful. But that doesn't entitle you to steal from me as an adult. Steal? She repeated, as if the word itself were indecent, a personal affront. We borrowed. You didn't tell me. I shot back. That's not borrowing. That's theft. Wednesday morning. Another wire hit my account from Mason. $500. Again. The note said, first of many, LOL. I forwarded the entire email chain and my spreadsheet to my bank contact. Asked them to proceed. I didn't write LOL. At noon, Dad called from a number I didn't recognize. Your mother is sick over this, Caleb, he said, his voice laced with thinly veiled threat. Your grandmother would be ashamed of you. My grandmother, I replied, my voice steady, taught me to lock my door at night. She also taught me to pay back what I owe. He hung up. After work, I changed my locks. They didn't have a key, but it felt symbolic. And it was a good excuse to finally talk to a neighbor I liked. I canceled the Family View account completely, called the bank, added a verbal password, moved the remaining cushion money back to checking, closed the decoy savings, set up a new, small account at the credit union with a name like Utilities. I fortress-proofed my life. That night, Nur came over with takeout, her face holding a look that said, I'll listen. I won't fix. She asked how my day went. I told her. The numbers. The words. She just nodded. Good job, she said quietly. You're doing the boring, hard thing. That's growth. I let out a wry laugh. Growth is expensive. She raised an eyebrow. Says the guy who itemized his trauma and sent it in a PDF. Thursday morning, I woke up to a wall of texts from extended family. An aunt I hadn't seen in 6 years called me cruel. A cousin wrote, not everything has to be about money, man. No one asked what really happened. They just parroted the version my parents had fed them. Caleb is hoarding. Mason is trying. Parents are saints. I did something that felt petty at first. Then I realized it wasn't petty at all. It was clarity. I sent that same email, with that same detailed spreadsheet, to anyone who texted me an unsolicited opinion. No commentary. No adjectives. Just dates, amounts, and the 3 options. The flood slowed. 2 people apologized privately. Everyone else just went quiet. Which is what happens when you flip a switch they were using to keep their own house warm. Friday. Mason called. I let it ring. And ring. And ring again. Until the missed call counter hit 12. Then he sent a voice memo. So long it split into 3 files. It went through all the stages. Jokes, blame, bargaining. I was going to pay you back. And then, finally, the truth. Okay, I can't cover it, he said, his voice small, defeated. If we undo the transfer, I lose the house. I sat with that. The house he bought with my money. The house Mom had practically staged with Dad's righteous indignation and a smiley face emoji in a banking note. I'm not foreclosing on you, Mason, I said when I called him back. The bank will decide what happens if you can't pay. That's how choices work. You're my brother, he choked out. I still am, I replied. I'll be your brother again when your version of brother isn't synonymous with benefactor. He went silent. Then, a shaky whisper, You really called the bank? Yes, I said, unwavering. And the police. There's a report on file, just in case we need it. I'd rather not need it. He hung up. 5 minutes later, $7,500 hit my account from Mom. The note. We are choosing option 2. An hour after that, Dad sent $6,000. Then my aunt, the loud one, texted, You're tearing the family apart. I just forwarded her the PDF. By Sunday, $21,000 was back. By Tuesday, $37,000. And on Wednesday, at 11:53 p.m., the final $4,500. The subject line on Mom's last email. There? Are you happy? I replied, I'm relieved. I'm not happy. I didn't gloat. Didn't drop an I told you so. Didn't drive by Mason's new house. Didn't screenshot the bank app and post it anywhere. I made oatmeal. Finished my charts. Watered the plant, nor says I keep alive out of spite. I slept without clenching my teeth. And I wrote a new rule on a sticky note, stuck it to my fridge. If they ask for money, say no once. If they ask again, say no and leave. Here's what I wish someone had told me at 22, when I was buying secondhand scrubs and trying to explain to my parents that resident didn't mean temporary doctor. You can love people and still lock your door. You can be generous without being harvested. You can be calm, kind, and clear. And if they call that cruelty, it doesn't turn your clarity into a crime. Boundaries are not betrayals. Boundaries are the quiet promise you keep to the future version of yourself, the one who has to live with the results. I'm still a doctor. I still show up early. I still carry granola bars in my bag, just in case a patient faints or a nurse forgets lunch. I still text my mom pictures of the sky when it's pretty, because she loves clouds. I still want good things for my brother, but I will not finance those good things. Not even just this once. They said they spent 99% of my savings to buy my brother a house. He mocked me. You don't have a dime left, man. I laugh now, because they didn't know those savings were the decoy. The fence I built after years of being told my no was negotiable. They didn't know I'd already chosen the quiet kind of freedom, the planning, the passwords, the boring courage of follow-through. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. I meant that. I still do. Closure for me looks like knowing exactly where my money is. Exactly what I will and won't do. Exactly who gets a key to my life. It looks like breakfast that tastes like food, not like a knot tightening in my stomach. It looks like 0 unread messages in the family group chat, because it's muted until I decide to unmute it. It looks like hearing my own voice and finally recognizing it. I'm not going to let them make me the villain in their story just because I stopped playing the ATM in their sitcom. I'm not going to argue with anyone who prefers the version where I'm selfish and they're saints. I don't have the time. I have charts to close, a jog before sunrise, and a plant that is somehow still alive. I'll say it once more, out loud, because it helps. I won't let anyone take from me what I need to live. And I won't apologize for protecting the life I built. I am not angry. I am done. And done is peaceful. If you've ever been the wallpaper in your own house, if you've been the faucet, the open tab, the cushion for everyone else, here's your script. From a man who used to think clarity required a full-blown monologue. It doesn't. It's 3 simple sentences. No, That doesn't work for me. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. Then you turn off the light. You sleep. And you wake up and live the life you paid for. Alone, if you have to. But finally, truly yours. So I'm curious. Have you ever felt like the wallpaper in your own family? Or maybe you've had to draw a line in the sand like I did. What did it take for you to finally say, no, this isn't about revenge, this is about closure? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm really keen to hear your experiences.